Hello, everyone. Sorry for waiting. I know it's been a long day. Has it been good? Good? Are we at the end? It's the last one. You guys are here for analytics. Hey? Power. The best Google product there is. Seriously. It's the best Google product there is. There's lots and lots of Google products. Analytics. There's one thing, and it's the best. Why is digital amazing? Why do people like digital? Why is digital growing at a rate that no other marketing medium is growing at? Because you can measure everything, and what does that mean? You can track your ROI, others, this means more than that. I know everything is about the bottom line, but there are fluffy things as well. Engagement, you can understand engagement. Yeah? Pardon? In what respect? Yeah? Absolutely. Hey? So say that again? So that for me is, out of everything you've said, that's probably the biggest one. Iterating, improving, developing, taking information signals that people are giving you, understanding them, and making yourself better. That's the beauty of analytics. Now, I can tell you, I deal with a lot of large customers. No one is using this product properly. No one. Guys are spending millions and millions of rands and not investing any time and effort into understanding what's going on with their website, with their customers, getting analytics set up correctly, all that kind of stuff. So basically, you're going to spend and invest all this money in driving all these people to your website, and then that's it. It's a crime, absolute crime. I'm a huge, huge fan of this, and I believe that if you're smart with analytics, it will set you ahead of everyone else. And I'm going to cover the basics today. This is a fundamental training. I'd rather you have questions, because unfortunately we don't have, it's very difficult to do this in a live environment, so I've got a deck here. I'd rather talk about things, and I'd rather you ask me questions. And then hopefully this is more of an interactive kind of session at the end of the day so that we can go on the slides. Cool. Your fundamentals. So we mentioned this already. It's an insights mine. The first and foremost thing for analytics, obviously you want to get your setting and your tracking set up correctly. Sorry, okay, you were just waving someone. It's a trending and insights tool. That's the first thing that you should be looking at analytics for. Yes, it measures your ROI, and it's very accurate, and you need to get to a place where it is accurate. But first and foremost, it's an insights tool. Gives you information. What page is doing well? What traffic source is doing well? What is the exit rates on certain things? And I'll get into the different metrics. Okay. So, very simple questions. Who, what, and how? So, it's unfortunate that this deck is slightly out of date. They updated the analytics interface a week ago. And they've got something called the ABC report, which I'll get to now. But basically, the ABC report is audience behavior and conversion. Those are the three pillars, right? Audience, who's coming, where they're coming from, how, and then behavior, how long are they on my site, what pages are they visiting, where are they exiting, are they converting, and conversion, what are they buying? What is the value of what it is that they're buying? So those are the three pillars. And one of the big things, and I've got a bag here with a sheet that I'll hand out to you guys, and please don't leave until I get that. It's just in the next room, is the biggest issue with analytics is people don't know the right questions to ask. So you go into analytics, and there's like, whoa, all this information. What does a bounce rate mean? It's just a metric. It's someone that bounces. What does average time on site mean? Yeah, so people spend this kind of time on my site. Cool. But there's deeper meaning behind the metrics. It's a very deeper meaning behind it. And you need to ask the right questions to say, oh, all of these people coming from Facebook are spending 1 minute on average on my site. I know, because I've done usability testing and I've gone through the checkout process on my website, I know that it takes 3 minutes to check out on my website. So the traffic that's coming here, they probably have a shorter attention span. It's a social environment. Maybe they're less enthused about me. How can I shorten my process for people coming in from Facebook? How can I make it easier? How can I make it quicker? Or maybe people coming from Facebook aren't as valuable to me because they don't really want to purchase products. So we've just taken a metric which had no meaning of 1 minute, and we've actually given it a little bit of context. And that's the kind of way we need to start thinking to actually gather some insights out of the platform. The other thing is value. Is anyone doing e-commerce? Yeah. Okay, so we got a couple e-commerce guys. You can measure the cart value. You can measure page values. You can say this page. Say for example, you've got a page that has got a MacBook Pro. You're selling Apple products, and you've got a page that has got a whole bunch of Apple accessories, and then you've got a page that's got the actual PCs. Now, the conversion rate off of PCs is obviously going to be a lot lower, right? It's a big price to pay. Accessories, the conversion rate's going to be a lot higher. I'm going to spend 300 Rand and it's going to be okay. Spending 15,000 Rand, I'm going to think quite strongly about it, and I'm going to do a lot of research, and I'm going to think twice and go back and forth. Now, if you're evaluating your site and you're not putting a specific value to a page, it would look that this page isn't really doing well. But that lower conversion ratio, yes, there's always ways to improve it, but that lower conversion ratio actually means that that page is a lot more valuable to you than any other page. So assigning value to pages, and you don't have to have products to assign values to pages. You can make your own assumptions, and you can say, based on someone putting in the information for signing up for a newsletter on this page, people who are part of my database are worth 5 Rand. People who are part of my monthly newsletter are worth 2 Rand. People that have given me the email information are worth, well, now this Mac, I don't know how much it's worth. Okay, it seems to be okay. Cool. So, how many of you use Google Analytics? Okay, cool. So I'll try go through this and not bore you as well. It's split up into dimensions and metrics. Dimensions give you context like geography, traffic sources, that kind of stuff, and metrics are like visitors, new visitors, bounce rate, average time on site. So this was the new report that I mentioned. This is what it looks like, and it's auto-generated. You don't have to do anything here. That's telling me people coming directly to analytics, email, various traffic sources. What are the visits? What are the percentage of new visits? What is their behavior? So again, like I mentioned, average time on site and page views. If you know that it takes 3 page views to check out on your website, or on average, anyone who converts on your website had seen 3 or more pages, you need to know and set up a goal to say, this is the kind of engagement that I need on my site. Anyone that's doing less, there's something wrong, and anyone that's doing more, I need to do more of that. And what happens then? You improve. Because you're isolating information and you're going, shit, when people go to this page and enter on this page, they're really engaged with my website. But when people go into this page, they drop off. Something's wrong with this page. Let's improve. And then conversions. So dimensions, as I mentioned before, gives you some context as to what is the question you want to ask? What do you want to know? Do you want to know how, again, I'll mention social because social's become a really big thing. I'm not saying this because I work for Google. I'm saying this because I'm interested in bottom line. And I'm interested in social media ROI. And I'm going to go and spend a lot of money on Facebook to get a lot of Facebook fans. What do those Facebook fans mean to me? What do those Facebook fans do when they come to my website? Do I even get them to my website? Once they come to my website, how long do they spend on my website? And what is the average value or the cart value of what they actually check out when they come to my website? Is my Facebook advertising worth it? Or should I be putting my budget that I spend on Facebook to develop a fan base onto a more directly responding environment where people are searching for it on Google, or be more performance driven with the budget that I have? So these are the kind of marketing questions you need to ask, and the information is here. So this is just going to give you some ideas on how you can actually drill into certain pieces of information. You can look at different types of campaigns, how they perform, and I'll get into that. So here you have your dimension, and then on your right you have your metrics, right? Now, bounce rates. Bounce rate's a big one. Everyone knows what bounce rate is? Yeah, okay. So bounce rate's different to an exit rate, right? Bounce rate means I came, I saw a page, I moved to another page, and then I left. Okay, sorry, that's wrong. Bounce rate means I came to a page and then I left. An exit rate means I went to a page, I went to another page, and on that page I left. So bounce rate means a couple things. One, sometimes people only need to see one page, for example, like a blog. So you can imagine a blog having quite a high bounce rate, and that's acceptable. But sometimes pages, need to lead you across a journey in order to convert. The average that you should be looking at, and again, this is very much dependent on your own markets, but generally around 40% or less is good. So if you see you've got bounce rates that are 60, 70% for certain traffic sources, say you're investing in mobile, or say you're investing in mobile display, okay? You've decided, my market, lower LSM, they're on mobile, I'm going to send people to my Mobi sites via mobile display advertising. You can see that in there, and then you can see, oh shit, my website, which is dynamic, it's not a one-pager, I've got a bounce rate of 90%. My Mobi site is obviously not good. It's not working. I need to fix it. So bounce rate can give you that indication. Exit rate is kind of, obviously an exit rate would be acceptable if someone reaches a thank you page, right? I have no reason to be here anymore. But if there's an exit rate on a page that is part of the conversion process, part of the funnel, then there's something wrong. And you can see that, and you can drill into the content reports, filter through that. You know your website, you know the URLs that are important to you, and you can look, what is my exit rates on these things? And I'll talk about setting up goal flow funnels now. And guys, I know I'm talking a lot, but if you do have any questions along the way, please shout. So I think the purpose of this slide is that there's a lot that you can drill into. And I'm going to put this to you guys and go, before you get into analytics and you want to be a power user of analytics, step away from analytics, step away from the vehicle, sit with your business people and ask yourself, A, what are the objectives of my site? B, what do I want to understand? And C, let's set it up in a way that I can actually track it. Okay? Once you've got that, and you've got the questions that you want to ask, you can set up custom dashboards in analytics, where you don't have to go and drill through the different reports. And a lot of what I'm saying here today, in fact, I'll let you know when I think you should probably write something down, is you're not going to come away from this session being an analytics expert. I can tell you that right now. There is so much resource out there, and I'll give you guidance as to where you should be looking. And simply by playing through the analytics interface, you'll learn. That's the way I learned. That's the way you're going to learn. And there's certain things that you need to know along the way, and I'll highlight them for you. And it's a process of discovery. It really is. So this is really not important. How analytics works, it's a Java-based script. It's code that you put on your website. Once the page loads, the JavaScript fires off to a Google server. And then what we do is we track people via what's called sessions. So people come onto a website. I'll be with you now. People come onto a website. Now, based on their session, based on movement from one point to the other, the activity on the site, that's how we capture their information. And then, say for example, I go to a website and I'm on a website and I decide to make my dinner while I'm on the website. My browser goes into sleep mode. I come back 31 minutes later and I start doing stuff again on the website. That's counted as a new session. And that's counted as a new visitor. So that's how we measure. It's based on session interactions. And sometimes you'll see discrepancies, and sometimes that can be one of the reasons for that. What's that? Yeah, so that's a good question. The question was, if you're specifically looking at conversions, did you say if you're specifically looking at conversions, which should be more accurate? Or yeah, so I would say analytics, actually. So where you place the code for analytics, you actually need to be placing it quite high up on your page. It's between the end of your header tag and the beginning of your body tag. It's a little bit technical, but there are resources on that. At the end of the day, you know, they're actually both using the same type of methodology, because conversion tracking is also a snippet of code that you put on your site that needs to fire when someone visits a page. So, you know, a lot of guys have moved towards goal tracking for conversion because it seems to tie up a lot better. So I would say goal tracking in that instance. Goal tracking, for those that don't know, basically you say when you're setting up analytics, there's a section called goals, and you say when someone hits this URL, that means that there was a success. And I want to measure how many times there was a success. You put the code on that specific page, and it works the same as this JavaScript, the way that analytics works as well. And AdWords works the same too. The only difference with conversions with AdWords and analytics is your cookie windows. So AdWords has a 30-day cookie window. Sorry, it's a little bit technical. AdWords has a 30-day cookie window by default. So what this means is someone can click on an ad from AdWords, from a paid search campaign, come to your site, not convert, come back later, a day later, convert, and that conversion will be in AdWords. Now, in analytics, say I clicked on this ad, I went to your site, I didn't convert, I came back, I searched for you, and then I clicked on an organic result, and then I converted. That would count in analytics as an organic conversion. So that's going to lead to difference, right? That's why I say analytics is more accurate, because basically it counts the last campaign the last medium that you came in on and converted, where AdWords is set up as a 30-day window. And you can change that window, by the way, in AdWords if you want to. So it's nice to line up your length and your measurements on AdWords and analytics. So this is what the code looks like. You know, if you want to check that you've got code all over your site, you need to view the page source of your site. Right-click on the website, view page source. This will be what the code looks like. There's a couple extra elements that have to go in, so that's not everything. There's certain extra things that you need to put into the code if you want to do any one of these things. That being said, there's been an update to analytics which happened a week ago. That's why this is slightly out of date, where you press a button and the code dynamically creates for you. So previously you had to say, okay, I want to do event tracking. I'll tell you what that is now. Or I want to do virtual page tracking. Then you would have to say, dear Mr. Webmaster, please will you insert this line of code on the already existing code that I have on my site. Then the webmaster says, I'm going to charge you 5,000 Rand or stuff off, or I'm really busy. And then it takes a lot of time and it's a bit irritating. So analytics is updated so that you don't have to do that. It dynamically renders. Just make sure you've set it up in the right way from the beginning. So it's important to note that you need an extra line of code if you've got a subdomain. blog.example.com, mobi.example.com. You need an extra line of code, but it auto-generates in the code section, on the admin section in analytics. Custom variables, don't worry about that. It's really advanced stuff. Virtual page views and event tracking. So virtual page views works like this. If you've got a quote form, Some people have quote forms that sit in an iframe or don't dynamically render new URLs. So in step 1, I fill in my information. I'm in step 2, I'm still on the same URL. In step 3, I've converted, but I'm still on the same URL. Now, how goal tracking works from a URL point of view is you have to put unique URLs in each time. And it says, yes, I've moved to this stage because I'm on this URL. Yes, I've converted because I'm on the specific thank you URL. Some websites, unfortunately, are built in a manner where dynamic URLs don't render. So when that happens, you have to use something called virtual page views. Virtual page views say, when you hit a button, so I'm hitting the next button now, or moving on to the next step, it fires an event. And that event says, create this next page with a virtual URL of step 2. And create this page with the next event of a virtual URL that says step 3. So you have a virtual URL report, and you can put these virtual URLs in as goal settings so that you can see the flow, and you can see exactly how many people convert. Are you with me on that? I know it's a little bit technical. Yeah? And then event tracking. If you want to understand what's happening on your forms, which are really important, you can do event tracking. It's a bit advanced stuff, but event tracking is basically any action you take on a website, and I'll get into the economic value of a website, but any action you take, when you hit a button, that in developer speak is called an event. Event has just taken place. And you can track buttons. You can track if someone hits the subscribe button. You can track if someone says, read the email. You can track these buttons, not just the URLs that people land on. So this website, right? Now, this is like more theory now. We talk about the economic value of a website and the fact that there are, on a website, both micro conversions and macro conversions. Micro conversions are things like continue shopping. So someone was interested in the product. It's more along the lines of signing up for a newsletter, subscribing to something. These have value. You know, if someone might not purchase for the first time, but what happens if you've got a campaign that is not converting for you, but it's starting a relationship with someone, right? So you'll look at that campaign and say, not working, not converting for me. But if you were measuring these micro conversions, you would see, you know what, this campaign is introducing myself to my potential customers, and is actually leading to conversions further down the line. So it's important to have a lens both on your macro conversion, which is your typical type of conversion, and your micro conversion. How you measure micro conversions is done via event tracking. Other important thing for you guys, I would suggest if you're not using a search engine on your website, a search functionality, you use Google Site Search. That plugs straight into analytics, and that gives you a lot of information as to what people are interested in, what people can't find. And you can actually take that information and go and say, well, you know, this is one of our main products and people are still searching for it on our website. Something's wrong here. Or, geez, you know, we're punting MacBook Airs, or maybe we should be punting PCs, because people, when they come to our site, they're already searching for PCs. So, as I mentioned earlier, you can track a lot of things. This is default kind of stuff. With organic traffic, which is important to you guys, there was an update with analytics in the fact that you can't get a lot of you can't get a lot of organic traffic keyword detail in analytics anymore. It was based on a privacy update. So reports that you used to have where you could see what are the keywords that people are coming in from organic search, you can't see anymore, but that's not true, you can see. How you do that is when you have a website, you should start using Google Website Optimizer, Webmaster Tools rather. Does anyone use Google Webmaster Tools? So it's a fantastic diagnostic, and by linking Google Webmaster Tools to analytics, it will show you an aggregated view of the organic traffic that's coming to your site. It helps with your own keyword research. It helps with understanding what keywords you should be advertising in the paid advertising space. And it's important to keep a close eye on how you are ranking organically. Paid search, you need to link AdWords and analytics together. How many of you have you done this? Has everyone done this? Yeah. So if you want AdWords information in analytics, in the admin section, you link the two together. It pulls through the cost information from AdWords, and you're able to do a lot more deeper analysis from your paid advertising than you would in the AdWords interface. So, for example, I could be sending a lot of traffic, and in the AdWords interface, I'm like, this is great. I want to drive a lot of traffic to my website, and I'm doing display advertising, and it's really working. But then you go into analytics, and you see, well, all of my display advertising has got a bounce rate of 95%. So it's not working. What could I do? Maybe I need to be more relevant in my display advertising. Maybe I've gone too broad, and my message isn't clear enough. And I need to pre-qualify people coming to my site more and get that bounce rate down. You can see how people flow from a paid advertising campaign versus an organic. Wow, I can't believe that people coming from organic are spending 3.5 minutes with me, and they're super engaged. They see 5 pages, and guys that are coming from paid advertising are spending a minute with me, and they're not really engaged. So I'm spending money, and I'm not spending it correctly. Is it something wrong with my product? Is it something wrong with my pre-qualification of my message? Am I sending people to a crappy landing page? What's going on here? Because people from organic traffic are really enjoying their experience where people from paid aren't. So you need to ask those questions. Another important thing is, so analytics allows you to track all different types of campaigns, not necessarily going through the Google network. And you need to do this by using something called the Google URL Builder. The Google URL Builder dynamically puts in they're called UTM source snippets that allows analytics to read what this thing is. If you don't tag, for example, a Facebook campaign, and you're actually sending people from a Facebook ad to your website, and you haven't tagged it as such, it will most likely put that traffic into referral traffic, and then you'll have to drill down into it. Where you could have actually named that Facebook MacBook Air campaign, and then when you go into analytics, that's what you actually see, and that's what you look for. It makes it cleaner. If you don't tag your campaigns outside of it, you can still find the information, but it's just not as clean. So any campaigns you're doing outside of the Google sphere, please use the Google URL Builder to tag your stuff. This is kind of the different types of views. You get your aggregated data, your trends over time, and your rich visuals. This is the default of how analytics appears. You see you'll have your dimensions on the left-hand side and your metrics on the right-hand side. I'll show you a couple visualizations that make the data a lot more consumable. At the top, you'll see it'll aggregate all of this information. So here you see it's breaking it up into Google Organic, Direct, Referral. This is the traffic sources report. And it gives you specific results. And at the top, it'll give you a total number. And then it will also give you right underneath it the site average of 1 minute 30, the site average of 50 seconds. Obviously, this was based on the entire site's traffic. But often what you can do here is, say, for example, you're on an organic report or a paid search report. You can see, oh, wow, the pages from paid search, the page visits are 3, and my site average is 5. People are less engaged. Now it's a process of discovery. Why are people less engaged? Let's look at the campaigns that are driving the most traffic. Okay, these are the campaigns that are driving the most traffic. Let's see the landing page in which they enter my site. Okay, are there enough hooks on this? Is there a reason for someone to browse more? Is the product shit? All these kind of things you have to ask yourself as to why people are less engaged. So again, analytics is this process of discovery. Now, this is one way of looking at information. If you're a visual person, you can select on the right-hand side here. I'll just go back to, you see over there, you'll see those little icons on the right side by advanced. So you select on those icons and it renders your information in a visual way. Great for presentations for clients if you're doing that. Great for you to see things if you're not a left side of the brain oriented person, which is all numbers driven. If you're more of a visual person, this is really cool. I'm like that. I really like that. Then you can get a bar chart which shows you percentages, and my favorite visualization is your median bar chart. So this is great when you want to compare against the site average. So if you want to look at bounce rates, for example, based on pages on your site, it's a great visualization because I don't need to even look at the numbers. I can just see red and green. I go, oh, red, that's a problem over here. You don't want to get lost too much in the numbers side of things, and that's why the visualizations really help with your own flow. And I find analytics is like that. I will encourage everyone to just kind of play around with it. You can't break it. Okay? Nothing you can do will break it. Get comfortable with it, and once you get into a rhythm of using analytics, it becomes amazing. So here, for example, I've got GA tweets, I don't know, people coming from Twitter. Let's call it that. Well, the page visits there are 14% less the medium of the site, which is, let's call it 3. Okay. Now, I would be able to click on this, and I would be able to drill into the pages people are visiting. And then maybe get a sense of that. I'd be able to look at the conversions. I'd be able to look at the flow of those people to the rest of my site. Maybe something's broken. Trends over time. Don't have to go into detail here. You can compare times and you can compare different segments. Okay. Now, one of the things that one of the things I'd like to leave you with, or a couple things I'd like to leave you with, is 1, play around, 2, Google it, and 3, segments. Okay. It's not a nice word, but segments. It's an analytic word. Segments means behavior and audience. So you can look at multiple segments at the same time, and you can analyze them, and you can see, here's an example of geography, but you could see branded versus non-branded traffic. You can create advanced segments, and you can customize your advanced segments. I want to see people coming in that search for my brand. I want to see their behavior across my site. I want to see people who didn't type in my brand, and I want to see the behavior across my site. And I want to see where the cracks are. Where are the cracks? Where are people exiting? Where's the drop-off occurring? What is the real value here? What can I do to improve it? Visualizations. So you have a map visualization. Probably doesn't really apply too much here. Do I need to finish up? Okay, it says 6 minutes here, just saying. You can do cool things for presentations, like dynamically render search clouds, search term clouds in the keyword reports. Nice for presentations, makes you look smart. Now, this is really important, and I'm not, unfortunately, going to get into too much detail here. The other thing that you need to think about is this idea of multi-channel funnels, and I'll leave attribution modeling out, but basically this idea that online advertising impacts across different mediums. Okay? Example. I work with clients. We work with large advertisers. They spend a lot of money with us. They spend money on display advertising because we're now saying online, brands are winning. Okay? So online's been very much known as a place where performance advertisers go. Someone searching for an Apple MacBook, you show them an ad that says Apple MacBook, you convert, everyone high fives, and we're all happy. Now, what's happened, and as more choice has come online, people respond well to brands. Now, we've been encouraging advertisers to do a lot of display advertising to promote themselves, tell people about themselves. You need to do brand and performance together. So we run a display campaign. It says 5 minutes here. Okay? Are the guys inside? Okay, sorry. I'll leave it at this, unfortunately. But display advertising, from a last click point of view, okay? It's really important. From a last click point of view, didn't do really well. Okay? They looked at it and they were like, I'm driving all of this traffic, and it's got a high bounce rate, so this is why this is really important. So you kind of ticking the right boxes. I'm driving all this traffic, it's got a high bounce rate. I'm wasting my money doing display advertising. Then you look at this report and you go, geez, all the traffic that I drove introduced people to the product of which they later came in and converted through organic, converted through direct, converted through all these different mediums. And now you have to look at the value of display advertising in a different lens. The analogy that I'll give you here is football, for example. The way that we traditionally track metrics in AdWords and analytics is saying, because of Ronaldo or because of Messi, that's why Barcelona and Real Madrid are the best football teams in the world. That's not true. All the guys are passing Ronaldo and Messi the ball to score the goals, right? That's what this report is. It's telling you who is passing this person the ball in order to do the final conversion. And you need to have your attribution lenses on here to understand the real value behind that. Fortunately, I have to end here, guys. Sorry it was rushed. But any questions? Any questions afterwards? The rest was, you got the good stuff anyway.